And one or two of you, I remember, just went like 33.1509 or something like that. Don't do that. That's not a correct conversion. It's not base 100. It's base 60. All right. So if you type in cosine 33.2525 and hit enter, that will also get you this answer out to, there's more after it. It's after the 6, there's still 22312, but it said 5 decimal places. So that's why we rounded. All right. And then the last, let's see, chapter 9 and then chapter 10. 2 more chapters. So chapter 9, there's one, like number 1E, there's a bunch of them, but I don't want you too worried about it. Plus blank equals 1. That should be relatively easy because it's open notes. So you should be able to see which one is, which identity they're trying to ask you about and just put in the missing piece. So sine squared plus cosine squared theta is equal to 1. And so it'll probably be some variation of that, but that one I'm hoping everybody gets that one right because you've got your notes right in front of you for that one. And then look at 2. They have a picture and they're asking find the secant, find the cosecant, and find the cotangent. But it's without numbers. These are all just abstract. They've got this pretty picture for you where this is A, this is B, this is C, this is little baby A, the little baby B, little baby C. And so they identified it as angle A. So the way that I do it, and you don't have to do it this way, but I go back to a SOHCAHTOA. And then I just kind of set it up like that. So I say that, well, what's the sine of A? What's the cosine of A? And what's the tangent of A? All right, so the sine in terms of, in reference to this, from this angle, this one is opposite. This one is adjacent. And this is always the hypotenuse. Right? The sine opposite the 90 is always the hypotenuse. So that's locked in. But depending on what angle you're, if I'm on this angle, then this one's the opposite and that one's the adjacent. But I'm on this angle, A. So with angle A in mind, that's opposite, that's adjacent. So SOHCAHTOA is a mnemonic device, right? So opposite over hypotenuse, adjacent over hypotenuse, opposite over adjacent. So opposite over hypotenuse, opposite A over C. And cosine is B over C. And tangent is what? Opposite over adjacent is A over B. All right? And now these are the other 3, the inverse, right? So cosecant is the inverse of sine. So that's C over A. The reciprocal. Secant, again, if you're a really horrible speller like me, secant is cosine spelled backwards. So it's an E, I know. So that's C over B. And then cotangent, I don't know if you can see it behind C3PO's arm. Okay, you can still see it. B over A. And then you just put those down. So let's see. Secant was C over B, cosecant was C over A, and cotangent was B over A. And done. Again, you'll have your notes so you could look it up and see which one, but I always write out the original, maybe not all 3 of them. If they only ask about the cotangent, I would just do tangent. I wouldn't do all of this, of course. So, but I would do tangent and then cotangent, just so you don't get them mixed up. I don't want you losing any easy points, all right? So let's look at, there isn't one like 3. Let's jump to number 4. We got 1 plus sine theta equals 3 sine theta. And this was asked about the homework. If you were in on that session, on Monday. So take a look here. We've got, we want to isolate the signs basically. This is like a 1. So we're actually going to do this like it's a variable. Like if this was 1x and that was 3x, we would just subtract 1x from both sides and get 2x there. So we have 1 is equal to 2 sine theta. And then divide by 2, and then 1/2 is equal to sine theta. And now we're going to use our arc sine. So theta is equal to the arc sine of 1 divided by 2, or 0.5. And you hit enter, and that tells you 30 degrees. And now, on the test, that's all you're going to need, because it, just like on the review here, it asks for the acute angle. That makes this true. And so since they put the word acute out there, that's less than 90, between 0 and 90. So it's 30 degrees. There's actually 2 answers from 0 to 360 that work. It would be 30 degrees, and it would also be 150 degrees, because if you think about All-Star Trig class, this is a positive number. Sine is positive in the first quadrant, and then it would be positive again in the second quadrant. And so we'd use 30 degrees for a reference angle, and that's where 150 would come in. So if I put 150 right there and 150 right there, it would work. It would be 1 plus the sine of 150 is the same as 3 times the sine of 150. It would be 1.5 and 1.5 either way. And 30 also works if you plug it back in. But the reason that we don't need the 150 is because they said acute angle. They basically gave us between 0 and 90 degrees. Instead of, on the homework, they give you between 0 and 360. Also, you could do this graphically if you wanted to put 1 plus sine theta on y1 and 3 sine theta on y2, and then find the intersection points. There would be 2 intersection points between 0 and 360. It would be at 30 and 150. But again, we only need the 30. All right? And the last chapter 10. It's going to look like this. So chapter 10, they want to know what if 40 plus 60j is the resultant, and vector A and vector B are added. Vector A is 30 minus 10j. And then vector B is unknown. They're saying find B. So if I take vector A plus vector B, I get this answer. So if I want to find vector B, then that would be the 40 plus 60j minus the 30 minus 10j. And so you have to remember to put that in parentheses. We're going to subtract each one of those off. And so it's minus 30 plus 10j and 40 plus 60j. And now it's just combining like terms. So 40 and negative 30 is 10, and 60 and 10 is 70. And you can totally double check that. That's fine. There's my answer. That's vector B. If you take this and add it to that, what's 30 plus 10? That's 40. What's negative 10 plus 70? That's 60. So you can totally double check that one. It's just like that on the test, so be careful with that. Then there's one 2a where we have it in polar form. And actually, as far as these go, polar form is easy to multiply. In that you just do, when you're multiplying two things when they're in polar form, you just take the 60, the numbers out front, times each other, times the 10. And then you take the angles and add them up. So we add the angles given. So this is 600, and then the angle is negative 30 degrees. But I think they wanted it between 0 and 360. And so then we would say negative 30 degrees. Let's think about that coterminal. So going back to coterminal, here's negative 30 degrees right there. We want to go around the long way, so that's going to be 360 minus the 30, and that's going to be 330 degrees. So that's going to be our answer here, 600, and then the funky little angle sign, 330 degrees. All right. So when it's in polar like that, a little easier, I think, to combine. Then let's look at the last one. And it turns out that last one you can put in your calculator if you want to. Especially because they wanted the, I did it algebraically. The last one is like number 3. It's on chapter 10. So it's 6 minus 9j over 8 plus 7j. So here, this is how I did it. I did it algebraically. Algebraically, the way that you would attack this is you would say, okay, we don't want any imaginaries on the bottom, so I'm going to take it times its conjugate. And if I do that to the bottom, I got to do that to the top. And so I did it that way, but I'm going to go grab my calculator. And I can show you how to key it into the calculator after. I'm going to still do it this way. So let's do the distributive property twice. Blam, 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 blam. So we got this going on top. 48 minus 42j minus 72j plus 63j squared over. And then on the bottom, we got 64 minus 56j plus 56j, and then minus 49j squared. Well, remember, j is the imaginary, so j squared is equal to negative 1. All right, so that means this is going to become a negative 1, and this is going to become a negative 1. These cancel out. So on the top, I combine up the like terms. That's now negative 63. That's now positive 49 on the bottom. So on the bottom, I got 64 plus 49, which is 113. On the top, I got 48 and negative 63. So I put those together. That's the negative 15. And then I got negative 42j and negative 72j. That's negative 114j. And that's what I put for my answer. I'd accept this as your answer. This is fine. They didn't do it that way. And I should have read the directions all the way. They did it, they said round hundredths. So that means they wanted you to take it down and actually divide negative 15 divided by 113 and 114 divided by 113. J and round to 2 decimal places, so negative 0.13 minus 1.01 J. That's what they have for their answer, and that's fine. You could do it that way, but on the test, you could leave it like this. That would be fine. If you put it like that, also fine. If you want to avoid all of that algebra, you have technology on your side. And let me show you how to key that in to the calculator and then just hit enter. All right. So let me get up here behind the camera. So there we have the calculator. So we're going to do parentheses 6 minus 9. And now we want to get it. So it says I. Math people call it I. See? I on the decimal. So we go second and then the decimal. And now there's an I on there and parenthesis. So we got the top in there. All right. Then we hit the divided by sign and then parenthesis 8 plus 7 I. Okie dokie. Oh, come on. Come on, camera. Do it. All right. And then we hit enter. Bam. And, okay, so now this is a little misleading because people are like, oh, no, it only gave me the first number and it just kept going. Oh, it didn't. Look really carefully. Look. Oh, come on. Come on, camera. Focus. You see there's a minus there? It's -1. And so you have to right click. You got to hit this thing. And you can see the rest of the answer. And it ends with a little I on the end. Okay, hopefully I didn't make you seasick by moving the... It's in 3D. Woo. All right, okay. And so, same answer, 1.01 and -1.3. All right. So that is the midterm review.